So em a Vietnamese Australian second generation and was born and raised in Australia and have never stepped foot, even 1 foot on Vietnamese soil. And am the child of refugees who basically lost everything when they went on the boat. Family members died on the sea. Family members died in the war fighting under the yellow flag. Yet people call them names that they can't even think of. It hurts like a stab in the heart. It's even worse than saying F you to them. And can't believe people have accused them of some things that they could never think of. You know, words, swear words, doesn't hurt as much as words that are intended to offend. You know, swear words mean nothing if it's in a private setting, if it's not meant to offend anyone. But not, words that are not even swear words can hurt even worse, can be as defamatory, can be as offensive than swear words if they're intended to offend that other person. So when they saw other people calling them names, calling team members names, and was really hurt. And then for them to attack things that are not even related to the argument, attacking workplace, your professionalism, which has nothing to do with the argument. They're attacking people's personal lives and bringing third parties, innocent third parties, into the argument, and felt that was so completely wrong. And and was really hurt by what and been seeing on Facebook, and then had to speak with the other like Clara and Stephanie just to make sure that they're okay. And they've been telling them they've been affected in their workplace, or they can't, they have a headache or they can't concentrate, and just felt really sorry for them. And that's why I had to keep checking on their well-being. And if we're all adults, we can engage in a civil dialogue. Everyone has their own views, and we should be able to engage in a civil dialogue. Even as when we're in the courtroom, there's etiquette to be courteous, to be respectful to your opponent, even though you have opposing views. And there's a decorum to be courteous to your fellow colleagues in the legal profession. We have to be respectful. And even though you may not respect someone, it's different from being whether you're respectful to them in person. For instance, there are people that are deemed scums of the earth, like for instance, serial killers. They're considered the worst of the worst. Yet as a lawyer, we're still obligated to represent them. They're considered repugnant clients. People don't respect them, but we need to still show respect for them. So I feel like it's demoralizing and hurtful to see people calling us names in an argument. Instead of giving valid arguments, they call us names, and feel that's really, really wrong. And when M was asked if M wanted to be part of BCA, M honestly had to think really hard, to consider whether M should take this role on. M had to think of what M have to sacrifice, what M have to, the risk involved, because there are real risks. M heard of, like, for instance, Paul's office being attacked. I'm seeing the threats, the death threats to G. Kate and Paul, and had to really think about, really is, and have to really consider the risks involved in being part of this, and what is M's motive to be, what can M bring to this this team, and what can M bring to the Vietnamese community. A lot of Facebook comments was, saying like they've been implying that not, being selective or not good at arguing, for instance. They attack M's professionalism, and it does make him feel down. But and been trying to be stronger and been anticipating what names that they'll be calling them. You know, I'm humbled that I'm being invited to be part of VCA, and know that, you know, there are probably there are many accomplished young people in society, and there are you know, there's probably many other people who are more accomplished than them. There's, you know, obviously there's a saying in Vietnamese, con núi này cao thì con núi cao hơn. Em understand and know that there are probably many more accomplished people, but you know, the problem is they don't want to be part of VCA. They don't, and that's what M's motive for being part of VCA, and want more accomplished, more young people to be part of VCA, to be part of this what I believed was a great community, because I attended many VCA functions in the past, but the problem was when Em was there, Em was one of the very few young people there, and was, you know, very worried that what would happen in 5 years, 10 years time, when all the older people are no longer there. Who will take on the, you know, who will be attending these functions, who will be attending these events when they're gone? Because, you know, Em not even that young, but Em was one of the youngest people there, and I'm just worried about the future of VCA, of the Vietnamese community. You know, who would remember our culture, our history, the reasons why we had our parents had to flee Vietnam. What's the significance of the yellow flag? If there are no young people, there will be no one to pass on these memories that, you know, that are not mentioned in Vietnamese history. They erase. Some people don't even know in Vietnam, that don't even know about the refugee story. They call us traitors for leaving Vietnam. So, you know, I really want to encourage more youth to be part of the Vietnamese community, and want more people who are even more accomplished than Em to be part of this community that Em thought was great. And, you know, on Em's personal Facebook page, Em only posts and share things that Em think is, you know, that shows the Vietnamese community in a beautiful light. All this bickering, all this fighting, Em don't post it onto Facebook, because Em don't want the wider society, people from other cultures, to think what is wrong with the Vietnamese community. Why are they fighting each other? You know, and just don't want them to think badly of the Vietnamese community, but I feel that there are people who are using Vietnamese community, you know, for their own motive, and they're bringing a bad light to the Vietnamese community. And then feel that, you know, what the Vietnamese community has been trying to build up for many years, they're destroying it. You know, there's people who know that didn't ever pay attention to the Vietnamese community, who are coming up and saying, hey, what's wrong? Why is all this fighting online? You know, and feel that's really wrong. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say at the moment.